Hello peeps, welcome back to Big Deck Playa with me, Matt Sparks. We had a little break last week from Big Deck Playa, but we are back with a vengeance. This week we are showcasing a warrior deck. It's simply called Top 50 NA, which I'm assuming is North America, Weapon Warrior. So let's have a look at the deck, starting at the top. Now this is a very, very aggressive deck. I'm not used to playing aggressive warriors, I'm usually playing control warriors. It's got quite a lot of low cost minions and a lot of weapons. So we'll start off, we've got a Clockwork Gnome, just the one. When you're mulliganing, if that is a correct term, or when you mulligan, that sounds better, doesn't it? Clockwork Gnome is probably one of the ones you want to go for. And then after that we have two Leper Gnomes, again you want to try and mulligan for these. And then thirdly, Undertaker, we have two of those as well. Now, you want to get in before the Undertaker gets nerfed, because the nerf is coming in fairly soon, where it'll just be gains one attack when you summon a minion with Death Rattle, and the health no longer increases. So, probably best to make use of this while you can. We have two Fiery War Axe. Now these, basically the first four things on this list is what you want to try and mulligan for. You want to try and get your Undertaker out there as soon as you can, so you can start buffing it with the rest of the Death Rattle minions. But you also want to try and get some a Fiery War Axe, or if not, maybe another weapon instead, maybe the Death Spite, so that you've got a little bit of control, because you want to try and keep your minions alive, and the best way to do that is by using your weapons to clear the board of any enemy minions. So obviously if there aren't any enemy minions, or if you want to use, say, your Clockwork Gnome or your Leper Gnomes to get rid of them, keeping your Undertaker alive and keeping that buffed, then use those instead, because obviously the spare part card might prove useful, and the Leper Gnome, even if you hit it into another minion, you're still going to be doing 2 damage to the enemy hero, so that's pretty cool. We've got 2 Heroic Strikes. If you are lacking a weapon, then this is a useful way of getting rid of some enemy minions, maybe a taunt or something. I like to try and keep it in hand, ready to strike for a massive blow, because this is 4 and this stacks with weapons. So on a Fiery War Axe, your Fiery War Axe is going to hit for 7. On the Death Spite, it's going to hit for 8, and on the Arcanite Reaper, it's going to hit for 9. So that's pretty awesome. But it only lasts for 1 turn, so bear that in mind. We have 2 Haunted Creepers for the Death Rattle, for synergy with Undertaker. We have 2 Loot Hoarders. This is pretty much the only card draw you're going to get. I had a match where someone silenced both of my Loot Hoarders, and I ended up losing the game because I didn't have any cards left. So yeah, you might want to try and get these out early if you can. I mean, any of the 1 and 2 drops are good for mulligans, basically. We have an Arcane Golem. Now this is, I'm not sure about this one. I think it's just because it's a charged creature, so it's nice to kind of finish off. I guess if you really wanted to, you could take Arcane Golem out and put in Leroy Jenkins, if you really wanted, for that extra 2 damage. It's up to you. I think this is probably slightly more efficient, just because it's a lot less mana than Leroy is. And we don't really see Leroy anymore, so I don't know, maybe you want to put him in there just because you don't see him anymore and people might not expect it. 2 Frothing Berserkers. Play this on the turn that it can attack when you start making trades, and it can be incredibly powerful indeed. I've seen this get up to very high amounts of attack, especially if you've got like your Haunted Creepers on the board. And don't forget, when Death Spite has its Death Rattle, it deals 1 damage to all minions. So, although it would deal damage to Frothing Berserker, which would make it get buffed, if you've got a whole bunch of other minions on the board as well, this Frothing Berserker is literally going to go berserk and going to have ridiculous amounts of attack. So, bear that in mind if you're playing combos. 2 Harvest Golem, because it's a solid 3 drop. It has Death Rattle, so it synergizes well with the Undertaker. 2 Death Spite, as I mentioned before, a great card, great weapon, and on your last strike with a Death Spite, you can get rid of anything that has 5 health, so sludge belchers. Mainly is what you want to probably be keeping that ready for, because lots of people run sludge belchers, and although it only does 4 damage initially, it does 1 damage to everything after that, which will get rid of the 5 health. We have 2 mortal strikes. I normally keep these for removal. I don't really use them very often against the enemy hero unless it's a means to finish them off. Being able to do 4 damage to a minion without taking any damage yourself by using a weapon can be quite beneficial. We have 2 Corcoran Elite because it's a 4 damage charge minion, and these are great, especially against priests. Priests hate this card. We have 2 Spellbreakers, which is unusual, but it's a nice way of getting rid of any taunts that happen to get in your way. As I say, this is a very aggressive deck, so you want to try and be going for face as much as possible, really. You want to, obviously, if your opponent starts putting threats on the board, you need to get rid of those so that your minions can stay alive. But if you can go for face, go for face. You want to try and rush your opponent down and defeat them as quickly as you can. So Spellbreakers are here for getting rid of taunts, because if you are putting a lot of pressure on your opponent and they have taunts, they're going to use them. So being able to silence them, that's just going to make them have a very bad day. 2 Arcanite Reapers. We don't see Arcanite Reaper get used very often. I certainly don't. I think Death's Bite usually gets used instead. It's a solid 5 damage, so why not? As I say, with combined with the Heroic Strike, that's 9 damage you could be putting out in a combo for 7 mana. So that's not too bad at all. We have 1 Brawl in case things get a little bit sticky and you end up with a lot of minions on your opponent's side and not so many on your own. Brawl is useful for that. And finally we have Captain Greenskin, the only legendary in the deck, and that's to buff the weapon. So again, you could buff this on the Arcanite Reaper, giving your Arcanite Reaper 6 attack and then use a Heroic Strike to do 10 damage. That's 1/3 of your opponent's health. So if you can whittle them away until a point where you can just finish them off with that, then that's great. But don't feel like you only have to use Greenskin on the Arcanite Reaper. Using Greenskin on the Fiery War Axe, making it a 4 attack with 3 durability, is really nice too. Because it essentially becomes like a Death's Bite, but without the death rattle. So yeah, using Captain Greenskin is great. I mean, the stats wise is a 5/4. He's not that great. He's likely to die quite easily because there's lots of things that will trade with 4 health. So yeah, he's not that great in that respect. But if you can keep the board fairly clear when you play him, then I think you'll be alright. So that is the deck. As I say, it's very aggressive. And it's not what I'm used to playing at all. I'm used to playing slow-paced control warriors that, you know, slowly chip away at the enemy. So this has been a bit of a change of pace for me, and I've enjoyed it, to be honest. It's been pretty fun playing this deck. As per usual, I will put a link in the description, which will take you to Hearthstone, so you can find this deck for yourself. If you don't have some of the cards that are in this, suggested maybe a mind control tech in case you'll come up against another aggro, or maybe a Black Knight to help get rid of taunts. If you've got the Black Knight. Obviously the Black Knight is a 6 cost legendary, so you might not have that. But yeah, not everyone would have Captain Greenskin because he's not used that often, but more people are likely to have the Black Knight because he does get used quite a lot. So that might be a viable alternative. So that's the Weapon Warrior. As I always say, if you play this deck, let me know how you get on. If you make any videos of this deck, feel free to link them to me on my Twitter. Be sure to head over to Hearthstone and give this a plus rating, because I think it's a pretty cool deck. And I shall see you next week for some more Big Deck Playa. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.